Welcome to episode 7. Today we get to sit down and talk with Megan Crawford about her journey. In this episode, you will hear how she was literally on the brink of divorce with her husband, and in just a few years, how they turned it around, and now they're making an incredible impact with their community through their group, Inspire Lawton. I hope you enjoyed this episode on how Megan unleashed her inner legend. This is Unleash Your Inner Legend, a podcast featuring modern-day legends sharing their life choices, habits, and routines that got them through where they are today. Get ready to be inspired and to take massive action to unleash your inner legend. I am so stoked for today's episode. We've got Megan Crawford here, who is the co-founder of Inspire Lawton. Megan and I go way back, and I cannot wait for her to talk on her journey and the awesome things that her and her husband's doing within the community and what got them where they are today. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. So Megan, for those who are listening and aren't quite sure of who you are, can you give a quick introduction about yourself and then tell us a little bit about Inspire Lawton and what it's all about?
Okay. Well, I grew up here in Lawton all my life, and basically we just like to see our community grow and be positive and start turning things around a little bit. So that's what we do.
Because, oh my gosh, you guys are doing so many amazing things within the community, and I'm not there, so I just see what's on social media, so I can only imagine the impact that you guys are having, right? So it's like, what I want to hear about, because you and Travell have an amazing story, and I want to hear about like what got you from, just being, day-to-day people that, going about your business, just caring about you and your family, to now you guys are having this amazing platform within the community, doing things to help the community, bringing positivity within the community. Like, what brought you there? So can you guys kind of take us back in time just a little bit and kind of walk us through your journey leading up to today?
Okay, so it kind of all started in 2017. My husband and I, we were more just like roommates, weren't getting along. I had two deaths in my family, that one of them which was very traumatic, and so I kind of went through grief the negative way, and I started partying a lot, which ultimately led to my marriage just crumbling. And so basically in December of 2017, I had filed for divorce on my husband, served him, and he wanted to end his life basically. And then something happened to him, and he turned to self-discovery and self-growth and started reading, and that led him to change, which led me to change. And so, and it just started basically with him taking a few coworkers that were in the same situation down in the slumps, and he started walking with them, and then their family started joining, and then every week we were doing walks, and then this person told this person, and so we decided to make it into a little group just to keep everything flowing easily. We had about 20 to 50 people when we first started, and now we have about 400 people in our group. We do monthly walks. We have a mountain here, and we do our walks out there, and now we've started doing events. We put on a color run event. We have another one planned for June, where the goal is just to get everyone involved. Everyone has a mission. Everyone has something that they can do to better themselves. And we're just trying to help people grow themselves.
That's amazing. And, you had spoke at the very beginning, and I felt like you were talking about like almost the decline, or where you started to see your marriage kind of going downhill, was really when you had death in the family. And I know, dealing with the death is very, very traumatic, very hard, and a lot of people deal with it different ways. And you said he helped you kind of also get better too, but dealing with that grief, like what made you during that process kind of gather yourself up and continue to move on? Because I know a lot of people listening struggle with that, and they struggle with grief. What helped you cope the most during those times?
I personally coped in my own opinion, I coped the wrong way. I went to drinking, and I was going out every single weekend. And that's all I wanted to do was just have fun and not think about the pain that I was in at home and the pain that I was going through. And when I saw my husband begin to change at who he was, completely 180, if he can do it, I can do it. And I can pull myself out of that low part of my darkness that I was in.
That's so awesome. So you were almost like numbing yourself to the pain with, with alcohol and partying and what
Absolutely.
seemed like good fun times, but it was actually making everything, worse because you were really
Absolutely.
feeling
I didn't want to think about anything. I just wanted to have fun. And that was like a mask that I put on.
for
I
sure.
showed the world I'm strong, and I'm not, who cares about my marriage? I'm having fun. I'm doing me, when ultimately I was going down a really dark hole.
That's amazing though to see like how you guys went through that struggle and you filed for divorce, you were done, and then seeing him change, and instead of you like a lot of people would be bitter or would sit there and be kind of negative about his changing, you kind of thought like, oh, okay, well, I'm sure you had that realization.
Yeah.
We're co-parents, and I'm not trying to be the loser parent. I'm not trying to be the parent that's like, all right, well, dad's doing something and then there's you. What would you say that from like a from self-growth or from self-improvement, what did you consume that really helped you also with your mindset?
I remember the books that I read, back when you and I worked together. One books that has struck me the most is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F.
Yep.
And trying, and especially on social media, you want to you compare yourself. And that was another thing that I learned. I was always taking selfies and taking pictures of myself, and I have on this happy face. And I haven't posted a selfie of myself like that in almost 2 years, because I don't want to portray that my life is great and I'm happy and I'm doing this. I just want to show what we're doing.
That's amazing too, because I feel like you're also, now that you have went through that hurt and went through that pain, you started to heal, going through that healing process instead of masking it. So, a lot of people, and I'm just speaking this because I've done it myself too. I've been guilty of it, is like when you post a selfie on social media, it's not because, here's a selfie. It's really because you're seeking out acceptance, or you're seeking out likes, or you're seeking out some kind of validation from someone else or somewhere else other than where you really need to be working on the validation from.
Absolutely.
That's
the only validation we need is ourselves. We don't need 100 likes on our picture. We are beautiful. We just have to believe that ourselves.
That's amazing. And I love that you said that. And I'm so like excited. I'm so inspired. I'm so enlightened to kind of see you guys, follow you guys on your journey on social media and all the great things that you guys are doing. So, it's crazy how you guys just started. It started with Travell just walking with a couple of people, and now you guys are creating this movement. That's super exciting to hear.
Yeah. Just evolved.
That's amazing. So your goal is to get everybody involved and get just kind of get the traction within the group. Other than these runs, what else are you guys doing? And then how else can people be a part of it?
So we do these walks, and they come out, and we also have a volunteer group, and we don't ask them. They want to be a part of it, and they have missions. They go out and they get sponsors to help us with these events. We encourage them to read and just to get outside of yourself. And you grow the most when you're outside of your comfort zone.
I love that. That's so true.
And I'm still growing through this whole process.
And it's definitely a journey, and it's not like, just a place. You don't just arrive at your destination. You just continue the journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you've got the event coming up in June. How can people register for that, and if they're not able to attend or able to make it, how can they contribute to your cause?
We are still working out those details. Our plan is to have a 400-foot water slide or a slip and slide, I'm sorry, down Cameron Hill, which is a big football stadium that we have here in town. A lot of times when it snows, people go snowboarding. So our vision is to put a 400-foot slip and slide down that and have food trucks and vendors. So we're still fine tuning the details on that, but I believe we'll set up an event for on Facebook for Eventbrite. I think that's what it's called.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So you guys make sure to share that, and I know I'll make sure to put any links regarding your group, your personal contact information, and then the event itself in the show notes too on this podcast.
Family friendly. There's going to be food trucks and bounce houses, stuff for the kids to do. It's also going to be a color run too. So you run around Cameron, we'll throw color at you, and then you'll go down the slip and slide.
That's amazing. Do you have dates for that?
Fun. Looking at the first weekend of June.
Perfect. Okay, so one thing I definitely want to talk about, Megan, with you, and I feel like you can definitely inspire a lot of people, is really how you guys turned it around. Like you guys went from, like you said, you filed for divorce, you were separating, that was it. Let's talk about how people, like, let's really dissect like what caused that, and then let's talk about how you feel like you're very passionate and how you can help other people avoid that situation and avoid that pain.
So, like I said, my husband and I have been together 8-9 years now, and throughout that whole time, he played video games constantly. His energy went to video games. That just, I had my own moments, but like I said, we just became roommates. And when I finally had enough, I felt like he wasn't there whenever I was grieving. And I was seeking validation from other people that didn't matter. And when I filed on them, I was completely done. I had gotten a little bit of money from my brother's death, and I forked it all over to the lawyer. I was finished. And when I saw him change, I was like, you're not going to one-up me. You're not going to be better than me. And so he encouraged me to change. And
so, you started to see that change in him. You started probably seeing him like not on his video games or not doing the things that he was escaping from reality with. He started working on himself. What would you say was the number one thing that brought you to the self-healing process that you did?
I just started to look at myself and see the things that I was doing that I could have been better at. With the fights that I was picking with him, is it really worth fighting over him sitting on the couch? Is it worth fighting these dishes? That all these little small fights, they turn into huge fights, and then you become bitter with each other, and then you become enemies, and then you attack each other, and you do dabs at each other, and it's not worth it. You were meant to be together for a reason. You fell in love for a reason.
Absolutely.
You're not enemies.
And there's a moment like you wanted this, he wanted this. I think that people can get away from that feeling and that, because we get sidetracked with things like you said, social media or whatever it is that you're like video games. You just get away from that actual feeling and you just get content. And instead of asking yourself, okay, so today I want to be with like with you, and you'd say, okay, today I want to be with Travell. So what person do I need to become so that this marriage thrives? Obviously, somebody that's posting 10,000 selfies and seeking attention or whatever from third parties is probably not going to be that person, right? So what you did is you took the opportunity, you shut down social media, you worked on yourself, you worked on your marriage, and then now you guys are doing amazing things, not only just within the community, but also for your children and for yourselves.
Yes. And one of the important things is, and we've always done Friday night date night. And now especially now that we're so busy, it's hard to get that time in, but date your spouse. It's so vital for your marriage to thrive. Get that alone time. I mean, even if it's the simplest things, like last night we were super busy, and it was date night. We didn't have the kids. He was tired, so we just went and got something to go. And while we were waiting, we held hands and chatted for 5 minutes. And to me, that was better than than anything, because I got that alone time and I got to check in with him and he got to check in with me, and we got to say things that needed to be said, or just an I miss you. And that meant the world to me. So you take a walk if you're feeling distracted from your spouse. Do something that brings you guys back to the center. It doesn't have to be lavish. It could be so simple.
It's really just kind of bringing you back to earth and kind of making you aware of, okay, where am I going wrong and what things do we need to work on?
Just reconnect. Yeah.
Amazing. Megan, you are awesome. I really appreciate all like the things that you're doing. What would you say if someone, if they're thinking, okay, I need to start changing, what advice would you give to start that changing journey? Like, what do they need to do? What would you say that they would need to do?
Take away your distractions, whatever it is, anything that's distracting you, take it away. Take a break from it for a little bit. Look in the mirror. Tell yourself what you need to tell yourself. You're beautiful. You can do this. You can get through your day.
It's so inspiring to talk about. I know we did like a brief, quick overview within the duration of this podcast episode, but it's so inspiring to see how you guys literally went from broken marriage, you guys were filed for divorce, ready to separate your lives, to now together, you guys are a huge force within the community. What advice would you say for people who maybe are finding themselves where you guys were at that point in time and maybe are considering their options of divorce? What advice would you give to someone who are in that position that you were once at?
So we've actually, unfortunately, have counseled about 3 couples going through the same thing. One of my very best friends is going through that. And you just really, a lot of people like to seek attention from other people for validation, kind of like the self-hate thing. Dig deep into yourself. Find what makes you happy. Find what is ultimately going on in your marriage and dig deep and try to fix it. God loves marriage. He put us together for a reason, and he wants it to succeed. So you have to dig deep. So easy to give up and to walk away. You have to fight. The same problems that you're having inside your marriage or in whatever it is, if you don't change yourself, you're gonna continue to have those problems down the line.
That's right there is huge, because I know a lot of people, and like I've said, before, I've been guilty before. Something happens to you, you think it happens to you and not from you. You don't realize that it's the same patterns that you're going through in life, and you're not recognizing your behavior. You know what I mean? Like if it's consistently happening to you, it's probably happening from you. When somewhere there's a pattern that you've got to disrupt, and you've got to create a new habit or add a new routine in your daily life that's going to change what's going on now and stop it from happening. Because I know a lot of us get in that routine, and it's so easy to point blame, because heck, you don't have to do any changing. All you got to do is just keep pointing blame at someone or something until you realize, okay, I have no friends. I've had how many failed relationships? I've had how many failed, whatever within myself. That's whenever I think the realization of like, you have to get that point where you're in so much pain to where you're filing for divorce, or where you know what I mean? But I think a big aha or a big moment is if someone can pinpoint that before it gets there. So there's not that much pain. It doesn't have to be that painful. It's just recognizing those behaviors. And like you said, digging deep in yourself and asking, like, what am I trying to do to validate it? And what's the goal for my actions right now? Is it really what I want to do with my life, or is it me masking something else?
Yes. And self-awareness is everything. You have to be aware.
It's so easy too with social media these days. It's, you know what I mean? Like that could be your distraction. That can be your outlet. It doesn't have to be partying. It doesn't have to be drinking or going out late at night. It could just be being consumed on social media platform, trying to seek out that validation from someone other than yourself.
The biggest thing that helped me during that time frame, after my husband and I got back together, I took a break from social media. I deleted Snapchat, got off Instagram, deactivated Facebook, and I was off for 4.5 to 5 months. And I encourage everyone just to disconnect and focus on yourself, because that's where I learned the most. Getting off social media, it's great. It has its perks, but it can also be very self-destructing to yourself, because you get on there, and especially if you're at a low point in life, you get on and, well, those people are having fun or they're doing this and that. Get off social media and center yourself. Find things that you like to do. One of my biggest outlets is working out. I work out 5 to 6 days a week, and that is the number one place that I want to be. Well, of course I want to be at home, but I want to be in the gym, because that is where I grow the most. Not only physically, but I'm doing things mentally that I never thought that I would ever do.
That's awesome.
Find something that you like.
Yeah, for sure. So find out, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's mentoring, maybe you need some mentoring, right? Maybe you need to be the mentee for a little bit, but find something that you can pour yourself into. That way you're not trying, you're trying to find, that way you're on your journey to self-discovery and not self-destruction.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Megan. I really appreciate that you taking the time and, open up, be vulnerable, and be real, be raw, because I know, unfortunately, in today's society, a lot of people want to pretend to be perfect. And in actuality, we all know that there's no such thing as perfection. So I appreciate you taking that mask off, letting us know, you survived, and anybody else listening can survive too. So I really appreciate that.
Yes, you can. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, Megan. So before we hop off here, where is the best way? It sounded like Facebook was going to be the best way to connect with you. So what's the best platform that people can reach out to you if they have any questions, if they need some inspiration, or really just to partake and listen to you and Travell's journey?
So we have an actual Inspire Lawton page on Facebook. You can like that. We also have a closed group in Lawton, Inspire Lawton Family, and that is our group. Everyone gets on there, whether it's fitness or whatever you're doing. It's all positive. Please join us. We would love to have you a part of our mission.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks again, Megan. And I cannot wait to see what you guys have in store in the future.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Unleash Your Inner Legend. For more inspiration, make sure to subscribe by going to unleashyourinnerlegend.com. We'll see you guys next week.